Welcome back to the Iberian Property Real X. We are now on a debate on how and where to invest in Portuguese residential market. And we have with us three major Portuguese developers, all of them funded by international investment. So there is a very good balance between Portuguese friends, international friends, local knowledge, international money. So I will ask, first of all, to Fernando Vaz Costa, to Cristóbal de Castro Luís Gamboa, to briefly introduce themselves and explain where is know-how, where money comes from. That's always a very good issue and a very good question to allow us to understand who are these gentlemen, and they do present better themselves than I might do. And then to launch a first question, very simple, and it's the title of our panel: how and where to invest in Portuguese residential market. So you are on my side. You are the first victim.
I'm the youngest, so it shouldn't be the case. But
so explain a little bit who is Albatros Quantico.
Okay, so we are managers of real estate, basically. We have a joint venture for investing in Portugal with a Portuguese group called Quantico, and we are doing 14 developments in Portugal.
4-0.
No, 1-4.
1-4. Okay.
Will be 4-0 very soon, but not yet. So basically, we cover full spectrum of residential. We have from super luxury developments like one that we have in Porto that probably will be the best development ever done in Porto, and I wouldn't say the more expensive, but the one with higher prices. We have now 11 developments in Lisbon, 3 in Porto. We have from refurbishment that we have a lot of developments which are buildings and 30 units development, and we have some developments that are for example, the one that we are launching in Antas before the end of the year with more than 1,000 units. So we cover from the super luxury to the upper middle class product, and very different sizes of product. And our money comes from different packets and different investors. We are a very local team. We have a very strong team here, but our money comes from we raise and advise a fund that has some of these development. We did other developments with the Spanish family offices, and also we have a joint venture with a Tier 1 international fund that we are investing with them in these big projects.
So it's all international money, basically, collected from different sources.
Absolutely.
Okay. Luís Gamboa.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for inviting me to be here today in behalf of João Cabaça. So Vic Properties is a family office that decides to invest in Portugal. So mainly the investments are in Germany. And probably because they have a Portuguese guy working with him, that is João Cabaça, they decided to invest in Portugal. So we started 3 years and something ago with the first deal closed 2 years ago in September 18. That is Prata Riverside Village. Last year we concluded another acquisition just next door to the Prata, that is the Matinha projects that we have starts right now the decontamination process a few days ago. And this year, during the pandemic period, we conclude the acquisition also that the different projects in between Comporta and Melilhos that calls Pinheirinho, with a different product, so more hospitality, second home market. And so this is the 3 projects that we have in Portugal. They are not so much in terms of number, in terms of square meters, we are talking about 500,000 square meters above the ground. So
Sorry to squeeze a little bit more. Can you explain a little bit better who is the family office
So it's
behind? They are based where?
Yeah, it's a family office that born in Austria, but most of the investments are outside Austria. So mainly in Germany, as I said, and Portugal, and there are investments around the world in different areas. So our team here is all based in Portugal, in Lisbon. We are all Portuguese. We have people that work in the real estate for many time. We have people that came from, for instance, from London, that used to work in other areas that now is working with us. As Carlos said this morning, it's important to have people working with us with different views from different areas. Can give us a different approach on how to do and to change a little bit and to make some questions about what we are doing. So we finance here in Portugal, abroad. We don't have a specific source, so we have a family office that is the owner, and we finance in the banks with bonds abroad also. So it depends on the project and what we want to expect from the market. So, as I said, Prata is we are in Lisbon much concentrated in the oriental part, so between Santa Apollonia and Expo area. It's a big area that is being developed since 5 years ago with the Prata, and now with the next one we will connect the old area of Marvila and the creative hub that is being developed by the municipality since the last 3 years with the Expo area that we can call the new part of Lisbon, the new city in the Lisbon. And that's it.
Fernando, your story is easier to tell.
Well, Nexity is a leading residential developer in France. We aim to expand and diversify our developments around Europe, now in Poland, Italy, and now in Portugal. I started just 2 years ago here in Portugal. We have a local team, 100% Portuguese team, with experience on developing in this country, and we also bring 2 Portuguese people that were working in Nexity France to our team. Our source of capital is ourselves, by the French holder, and we are mainly focused. We started here because we felt now we have Vic and Quantic and Editorial developing large projects, but 3 years ago we didn't have any large developer in the country, so we saw that the opportunity is there to create a leading developer in Portugal, so we started. We are happy to be along with the gentleman here to develop projects and to address the Portuguese market, but also the international market, and we are aiming to develop large projects to higher middle class Portuguese.
Nexity was in the market 10, 15 years ago, with crisis left, and now is back. We know Nexity likes to make a heavy and profound study of the market on terms of targets and cities. Explain the fundamentals for the location and what kind of target of the families are you trying to reach, and where is the opportunity on your view?
As you probably know, the middle class market is really compressed because the cost of construction, the cost of the land, and then the purchase power of each family is difficult to sometimes to have the right number. So we decided to start and to test the first 2 Lisbon and Porto greater areas. So we acquired some land in Lessa to develop in Lessa da Palmeira to develop the first project that is now launched and is being sold. We started with a small project also in Da Fundo, in the Oeiras Council, that will be launched on the next weeks. But we are also analyzing projects in both Lisbon and Porto to create more pipeline. We are still also making our calculations, and because, as I said, it's so much compressed, we want to go further. We go to other councils, start also, but we felt the price compression there is too.
One question: you prefer city center, Lisbon, or Porto,
No.
or you are looking to outskirts?
If you can sell me some land on city center really cheap, I will go for it. But the problem is that we aim to go to these middle and higher middle class families, so we don't want to play the high-end market, not on our profile. So we want to go strict on this, and now then we are looking for opportunities around Porto, around Lisbon. As you know, also Lisbon and Porto are really fragmented, so there are possibly opportunities on the city center of Lisbon that are not.
So you are aiming to be the Volkswagen segment.
Yes.
Okay, let's come to Cristobal. You reached market in a Bentley, okay, like Avenida Montevideo, other projects here in Lisbon that in this ranking and technology is like you reached market through the Bentleys, and now you are trying to do the downsides in the market segments for more mass market. How this is prepared is a matter of opportunity. Do you believe the Bentleys are already all sold?
Well, we are trying to find the best risk returns opportunities. So in our case, it came because, well, all of you know that in 2012, when the center of the Lisbon and Porto started to change because the change of the urban lease law, because the incentive for refurbishment, and all of these things that happened together with the tax benefits for foreigners that changed completely the market. Some years ago, the reality is that the Portuguese market was not so interesting that this international market. So we started there. We not only do Bentleys, we also do good Mercedes. And the reality is that all of our projects have, even some of them are cheaper than others, all of them have we try to give the same quality, maybe not the same materials, but the same design, the same quality, and the same thinking in the product. The reality is that as we grow as a company, we try to target bigger projects, and sometimes it's very difficult to do that in the luxury segment. Obviously, when you try to concentrate a business plan into a very high prices and you try to do big, the risk change completely. So we start doing
small projects, high-end, bigger projects, more middle market.
Yeah, but yeah, we are open to also different strategies. It's more than, well, Portuguese is a small market, so you find the opportunities that you find. So sometimes if you try to be super close in terms of your strategy, you won't find deals. So we try to make projects that really make sense in the best possible location. For example, the project that we are launching in Antas is a project that, well, has more than...
Antas is Porto.
Is Porto, sorry. Has more than 1,000 units, so...
1,000 units.
Yeah, we can say that it's massive, no, for Portuguese market. But in terms of quality, in terms of design, and in terms of amenities, in terms of what we are offering to the client, we think that even the prices are not like in Montevideo or other projects that we are developing. We think that the product has a lot of quality too. So basically, it's a matter of where the opportunity is. We believe that there's room in both markets.
So you see still good opportunities in the Bentleys and in good Mercedes?
Well, the thing is that problem is that each day is more difficult to buy buildings at a normal price. We think that this pandemic, with all the bad things that may have, can have a good impact on that owners of buildings and land can do a really mark-to-market of what they thought that the product was worth with the real value. But the reality is that now it's very hard to buy good buildings in good locations at a price that makes sense to develop. So the pressure in prices that you mentioned in the middle class, we see in all the spectrum, no? Not only there. So, well, it's a matter of we are assessing, well, more than 100 projects at the same time. So not so focused on we want to do this or that, more than where there's opportunities that make sense.
Vic Properties is looking always for a very big scale projects. The 3 projects you are running are probably among the biggest developments in projects. Are you willing only to see such high scale projects, or you have room to check for more balanced opportunities?
Sure.
And if you are looking to other things, what other things do you want to look for?
We don't see only big projects. This was a matter of opportunity. We were in Prata. For us, makes totally sense to acquire Matinha because it's next door. We can connect. We can develop a whole area that for us makes sense. But we look for smaller projects. We don't have any problem to do 10,000, 5,000, 20,000 square meters. It was just a matter of opportunity, nothing more than that.
And you want to be sustained in Lisbon, or are you looking to consider Porto, other outskirts?
Globally, we want to see
municipalities?
Yeah, in other municipalities around Lisbon, Porto, and around Porto, and maybe Algarve also. So.
But again, in the Volkswagen segment.
We don't have a specific sector. We believe that the mid-market is where the demand is. So probably on that market, we will see another opportunities to grow.
Okay. There is a huge buzz about build-to-rent and how build-to-rent can be private investors, international investors, very institutional. Investors are trying to look to the market. Fernando, Nexity is a player with experience on rental housing. How does it work in France? How it can work in Portugal for you?
Well, in France, it works quite easily. In Lisbon, we are studying yet the possibility to launch something on the PRS because we know...
Can you give us an idea of how important is your leasing operation in France?
Well, we don't have a leasing. We have a build to rent, but we sell. We are not investors, okay? So we are developers, and we sell around 50% of our housing to...
Half.
So we developed in 2019 24,000 apartments, and so it's half of that for individuals buying to lease, and then to institutional investors to buy.
And between institutional and private owners just looking for a source of income, what is the balance? Do you have an idea?
It should be 30% for institutional and 20% for
so there is willing individual money.
Oh yeah, there's lots of incentives to let families invest in real estate to lease. That is a really important driver of the French market. That's why the French development is going so well, because there are lots of incentives also to the families to buy and then rent in the affordable market. That is a really important incentive there. Here we are studying the recent measures and the incentives, but still without any exit. But we are studying quite heavily. We have a team focused 100% on that, but still on.
But new local legislation is now in place,
yes,
favoring leases with fiscal incentives. We have been sharing another discussion as this one with the representative of the Secretary of State. Were you impressed then After that panel, you got more enthusiastic view? Do you believe what
Well, after
Portuguese
that
government...
panel, the Secretary of State was was dismissed, so I don't know. I don't have any conclusions yet. I'm still going step by step to see everything that we may have to do to have that incentive, because it's not a clear path. It's a difficult path, and we have strange things on the market like the additional of the IME, so that doesn't help. And even the incentives that we call the 6% VAT on affordable housing, it's not clear, it's not direct. So you have lots of steps to do to have the 6% VAT. So it's not a clear path yet out that we can change in the future.
I'm sorry to take advantage, but I made an interview just a week ago with Luís Gamboa, and in Prata Riverside, you are of many buildings you are starting to build. You have reserved specifically one building for renting. So that means that you are a believer on
yes,
rental?
we believe that there is a demand for this, for a block sale, to rent. If someone says in the morning, I don't know if it's Paulo or Francisco, that in US 50, 60 years ago, investors buy to rent. We don't need to go to US. When we go through Lisbon, we see a lot of properties, buildings that are owned by banks, by the insurance companies. And so that's why there is a lot of buildings with a vertical property, because the owner is the same and they rent unit by unit. And I think there is room enough in Portugal also to do that. We see it in Germany, in France, in other countries. Why not in Portugal? There is a lot of people that want to rent a house. The millennials probably, they don't want to buy. I just saw a report from a competitor of the ones that are here. There is a huge demand for multifamily complex to rent. So there is a demand for this kind of product, and we think that there is in Prata also, even if it's a higher target, there is space to.
But your expectation is to have individual investors
both.
that
No,
put
we have
the savings, or
we already have
institutional?
investors, individual investors, that instead of having their savings in the bank and pay to have the money in the bank, they are happy to have a lower yield as 2-3%. And there is investors to buy a block and manage the rental of that block.
Institutional investors?
Institutional investors. Institutional
investors already looking?
Yes.
And what kind of yields they are looking for?
What kind of?
What kind of yields are they looking for?
We believe that in the residential, the yields can stay between 3 and 4%.
Gross.
Gross.
That means that after all the charges, it comes...
Yeah, but you have a de-risk. When we buy 100 square meters for a logistic, you have a tenant. If he goes, you have 100,000 square meters completely empty. When we have 100 apartments, if 10 of the tenants goes, you still have 90%. You de-risk a lot your operation when you have the kind of resi, because you rent it unit by unit. You don't rent 100 units to one tenant.
Your Austrian family office is not willing to act also as an investor in the rental market?
It's something that we can look for, because in Germany we have about 60,000 apartments rented. So
60,000?
Yeah. So it's something that we can look at in Portugal. Right now, what we are doing is development and selling, but it's something that we can probably see in the future.
Cristóbal, for your 1,000 units in Porto Antas, is everything to sell, or do you aim also to target some of these build to rent?
We are analyzing the option, and we are considering it very heavily. Issue in Portugal is that with a retail market that has been working very well, sometimes it's hard to assess alternatives, because if you can sell for a good price, why to lease and blah, 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 no? But we think that specifically for Antas, as it's the euro square meter that we are targeting there, it's not so high. We think that it's a strategy that can work very well. And also because of the size, we think that the efficiencies that we can create there are good enough to have a gross to net leakage in the yield that allows investors have the appropriate profitability, paying the appropriate price for us too. So yes, we are thinking on that, and let's see where we end.
I see investors also in the room, so if anyone wants to introduce some issue or some question, we have a microphone over there.
My question is for Cristobal, and it's very simply, I know the answer, but nevertheless, we have been listening by foreign investors, and when they come to Lisbon, they are very focused in our city. We feel Porto very attractive, but there is a dare in making 1,000 apartments in Porto. What led you to invest such a big project in Porto?
Okay, well, basically because the land is amazing, location is amazing. It's super weird in any city in Europe, any important city, to find a land to develop 1,000 units right in the center of the city. Antas is inside the ring road of Porto, and it's a super consolidated area. It's a residential area that used to be the prime area of Porto even before Foz. So to have the opportunity to develop a project of that scale in the center of a city in Europe, it's something that it's very hard to find. So when we saw it, we had very low doubts. Also because, well, one of the key things that we always do when investing is thinking about the basis. And here we bought for a very attractive euro square meter and a urbanized land where almost the infrastructure that they were in place cost the price that we were paying. So we thought, and we are very confident now that was a very good opportunity.
One important thing is both Lisbon and Oporto are trying to develop affordable housing. So affordable housing is a little it's not Volkswagen, it's perhaps the Fiat or the Renault. So one step below on the real medium classes. So Lisbon has a number of plots to make available for partnerships. Oporto is also presenting some prime pieces of land to come to the market to do affordable housing. How do you see these as an opportunities to come to the city centers? Have you ever looked to these files and opportunities and those years? And are you willing to evaluate them or not?
Well, we are interested. We are studying. We don't know when this opportunity will come. We keep waiting, and our information is that the program is evolving, and so we have. When it comes, we will decide if we go or not. But I think we must participate and must help on this, because affordable housing is really needed for the market. So to balance the market and to create more goodwill for the rest of the development in the market for the higher end and so on. If we develop just high end, we will be cut as the golden visas were. So we must participate and help on these global efforts to create more affordable housing for the market. If it comes from the partnerships with the city hall, if it comes for 100% a private sector, I don't know yet, but we would like to participate.
Are you, Cristóbal or Luís, looking for these opportunities?
We are not looking yet, but we think there is an opportunity. As someone said, I think it was Armando in the morning also, that there is a lot of land available in the cities. The question here is, the land comes to the market when it's approved with a price that is very difficult, very hard to do affordable housing, because the bureaucracy is so much that it takes so much time that it is impossible nowadays to do something in the city center for affordable housing. I believe that with the area that is available, if the municipality and the government is also available to study and to be fast, I think there is opportunities that will come soon in the market in both cities. And at this time, we will look for sure for these kind of opportunities.
We've been looking. We would love to do it. We are 100% sure that it's needed. But there are two things that makes very, very hard. It's just on the private hands to do it. One is the construction price. Construction prices in Portugal are super, super high. Market is very inflated. So it's very hard to do affordable housing when you have huge, expensive construction. So I think that maybe with evolution unfortunately, this pandemic maybe have an impact on the labor force and the construction costs go down a bit, maybe it's possible to do it. Second thing is the VAT. In Portugal, VAT is 23% for new construction. For example, if you compare with Spain, where the developer can pass the VAT to the client, to have a VAT that it's absorbed by the developer, it's very, very hard, because on top of a very expensive construction cost, we are building at 23% more expensive, because for the developer, it's just another cost. So you have to ask to the minister on the interview, because it's very easy to say, well, we need affordable housing, and we agree, and we would love to be involved, but it's on a mathematical basis, it's also almost impossible, no? So we think that governments should incentivize. Well, there's some programs that are on that way with the affordable for rent and so on. But well, I would reduce the VAT for every new development to 5% maximum. But I think that those two options, plus all the bureaucracy that you were explaining on how you approve the project, makes that the reality is that it's not viable as of today. So how it will come, if it's with public intervention or we don't know. As of today, to us, numbers doesn't allow us, and we've been looking a lot of land, and I think that later in the conversation, maybe we can have the view of well, the agents that are selling land in affordable places to understand their view on this, if they agree or not with our vision.
Well, the agents were saying land buyers are in the winners of this cycle.
Winners and losers. So yeah.
So, do you believe you buying land in this moment you can be on the winning side?
I think that
do you share the view?
I think that this pandemic, it's everybody. We are all losers after this pandemic. Having said that, I think that the development market in Portugal, because of the strong demand that exists, because the lack of supply, and the unbalanced offer and demand that exists. Now there's more demand than the offer that we are producing. So even that, obviously, it will have an impact on the market. We think that there's a lot of room to develop here in Portugal. So absolutely, yes, there's room. It makes sense continue investing in land and continue developing.
Come to an end of our. My question is, how these pandemic days affect or not your development pipeline? And for those who have sales during these times. Have sales stopped, or did sales keep going on a reasonable path? Luis, maybe you have a better view?
So in terms of change in the project, we haven't changed our projects because of the pandemic situation. The Prata Riverside Village was ongoing, so it's a process that have been starting 5 years ago, and all the apartments have been designed with the big balconies. We have a very big park in front, green areas, playgrounds. So what we launch is a space for the people who live there that we call Prata Service Lounge, to provide service for people who live there. So the Amazon can leave the shops there. People who is working at home and wants to have a place to do a personal meeting, they can use that living room. So it's this kind of service that we are providing to the clients, but in the project, we didn't change nothing. On Matinha, what we are changing is, it's not the change, the shape of the project, is the fundamentals by himself. Sustainability, circular economy, and this kind of things. So it's the fundamentals, not the layout, the apartments, but the way we do it. We want to be, and this is the benefit to have a bigger scale. We can have a project much. It's much more easy to have a green building in the middle of the Avenida da Liberdade, but it's one. The one on the left, the one on the right, it's a traditional one. In this area, you have 20 hectares where we can have a different place. And so when we came from a brown field to a green field, and with all this challenge to have buildings sustainable, to have energy efficiency, to have a kind of a smart city, became something different that what we have all around the Lisbon and Porto. So this is what changed, is the fundamentals, but it's not because of the pandemic. This is a trend, and we are trying to lead this trend, because I don't think there is something in Portugal with this dimension to be developed as a green area, a sustainable area like this one. So this is what we are trying to do in this place.
And how do sales behave?
Regarding the sales, so we have a very bad month in April. After that, in May, June, July, we have been growing. So right now we are like we were before the pandemic. So but we have much more. We have much more product on the shelf. So it's different. So cannot compare.
The crisis oblige you to rethink the Enter project in somehow.
I don't know if the crisis. If we think twice the project, but what I know is that the project is completely adapted to the COVID trends or post-COVID trends. So we are doing massive terraces. We have almost all the apartments with balconies, private terraces. We have a great green area in the middle of the project. We are doing a lot of amenities for the clients that almost in any development in Portugal exist. So I think that somehow all of these trends that people are talking and these new things, for example, we are putting private areas for work at home included in the design of each apartment. We are working a lot on these kind of details. But I have to say that because of the shape of the building and because of the green area that we had naturally there, the product was included all of this before the pandemic.
And how did the sales of the other projects that have been on sale, how you were affected?
We had some months, especially where the estado de alarma happened, that obviously was impossible to sell. And we had a reduction in the speed of sales. But we are very positive because 2 weeks ago, we launched 2 developments, one in Picoas here in Avenidas Novas in Lisbon, and another in Porto, and both of them are being an enormous success. So for us, I mean, the best measure that we have is our own sales, because sometimes it's very hard, especially in this market where the data is hard to understand. And I've been having a conversation today about that. Your own sale is something that it's completely obvious, and we've had an October super positive. But it's true that the months of the pandemic have been very tough.
Nexity launched one very big development in Lessa, Porto, just in September. So you didn't not stop, and you make a launch. How is your first views?
Yeah, strong, and we achieved now almost 20% of sales, so it's going quite well. Most of the parties are investors, not end users. Some are, but to feel quite not surprised, but confident with this answer from the market, showing power and showing responding quite well. Of course, the trends of I think we were already working on the trends that were powered by the pandemic, you know, so we have also the balconies already foreseen on our projects, and we have tried to be more open to create houses that have some space for the office, the home office, and so on. But we didn't change anything, but we understood that we were on the right path on that. Of course, for the future, we'll have more challenges, and we are pursuing other projects. And one of the that Francisco mentioned here on the winners, or the midterm winners, or the senior housing. That for us it's a winner already, because in our senior housing development in France, we are quite successful during the pandemic. So the well-organized senior living is running quite well with the pandemic as well. It's not the worst cases are dealing badly, but the good cases are doing quite well, and we see the opportunity to develop this senior living here in Portugal.
So
as well.
these fringe niches of residential, senior living, student housing, to small flats to rent to expatriates, are something you are considering also in your project, Cristóbal?
Well, we consider both national and international buyers in every project we do. Yes, we think that people will continue coming to Portugal. I think that if we don't touch too much things like golden visa and the tax programs like NHR and things like this, will help to have these international people and these retired people coming to Portugal. And well, this is something that was mentioned before. No, we think that it's something incredibly good for the market, and not only on an economic basis, that for sure, but also on the diversity part, no, of a city. So yes, we consider both. Obviously, Antas, we think that a heavy part of the buyers will be Portuguese. I have to say that if we have a lot of Portuguese clients in all of our projects, so even some of them are in the premium market, there's some kind of way of thinking that all of the good product and all of the premium product in Lisbon is sold to internationals, and that's not true. There's a lot of Portuguese people buying also this kind of product. But yes, we consider both in all the projects.
I don't know if there is any question to be made. We have a microphone for that. We have two. Now Pedro wants to. We are still in the public. Eric, do you want to go over there? Over there.
At this time last year, at the Editorial talks, one of the provocative thoughts of the three agents at the end was that we would see the resurgence of the South Bank, Almada, Seixal, Barreiro, etc. I think we were thinking at the time of residential, but maybe even also for services. I was invited by the mayor of Seixal last week to see his conselho, his municipality, and I must say I was very impressed with, firstly, with the beauty of Seixal, parts of Seixal, to be honest. Secondly, with the dynamics of the mayor and the council, despite the fact that they are of a different political color than mine. And I was just wondering whether, that sort of area where, we talk a lot about affordable housing, etc., whether that is a location that the three big developers would consider.
Okay. Anything?
Well, we do consider everything, but for the priority, it wasn't on our objective to go to the South Bank. We now have some projects. We felt that the market is difficult to perform there with the acquisition of the land and the construction costs, as mentioned to Gustavo. So it's very difficult to have there. So, and the competitors there are mainly, well, there is a strong developer there that is performing quite well, Libertas. He has lots of projects there. He has strong channels to sell abroad as well. But that is not our market, and we felt that it was not the momentum to start. Mainly because of that, because the other competitors are local contractors that build and sell, and it was very difficult to compete with them.
I think that the South Bank is a big opportunity, not even for residential, but also for offices. Because does it make sense that thousands of people came every day from the South Bank to Lisbon to work and go back every evening to the South Bank again? I was in Millennium BCP 20 years ago when they moved to Tagus Park. And at the time, I don't know if they still have or not, but the Millennium has bus to bring people from Caixo de Dré to Tagus Park every day. So I cannot believe that Millennium will change their office to South Bank, but the new tech companies that are coming, the new companies that are coming to Lisbon, they should see the South Bank. It's beautiful, as you said. So it's probably the best view to Lisbon is from the South Bank, like the best view to Porto is from Gaia. And I think that people can have a better quality of life even if they live in the South Bank. It's near to the beach also. They have a lot of infrastructure already in place. So I think it's a opportunity for both, and for resi and for office.
And there will be a very big piece of land to be built over there in Almada.
There are a lot of land all over the place, not even in Almada and in Seixal and Alcochete and Barreiro. So,
Cristóbal, do you feel comfortable enough to comment?
I think, well, I love South Bank. All the area is amazing. I think that the impact of the teleworking will have a very positive impact on that area, because I think that a lot of people will decide, maybe not just for affordable housing or the kind of projects that most of us we are thinking, when you think on Barreiro, Seixal, but I think that there's two opportunities there. The first one that was commented, which is affordable housing. It's harder because I also agree that it's more for developers that has its construction company or that are not so linked to construction cost. And I think that for us that's difficult. Nevertheless, we will keep monitoring that kind of opportunities. Other thing that I think that will have a lot of traction is middle class homes that with some garden, and people that now won't be needed to cross the bridge every day to go to Lisbon. So maybe now people will go just to the city 3 days per week and won't have such a scheduled timetable of just going at 9 and coming back at 8. So I think that a lot of things will happen in the South Bank. I personally, when I bring people from outside to Lisbon, all of them are amazed when they arrive to Caparica and they see a beach of 40 kilometers just in a city, which is amazing, no? So yeah, well, I think it's not evident how to attack it, but I think it will be a trend in the following years.
José Araújo has a question. José Araújo comes from Portuguese Bank, Millennium BCP. José Araújo, you have the word.
Thank you. The same line I agree, but there's a lot of investment margin on the view Iberian. Oriental people, French people, or French people. So I believe that the bands and the airport there will impulse the investment on real estate on that area. Ones who buy now will buy higher prices for this. But it's not my question. My question is about foreign Spanish investors. Enough, you already talked a little bit about that. But we see Austrians, French, German, English, people from States, from Middle East, from China, everyone has returned, everyone is investing again in Portugal, but the Spanish, a little bit provocative, of course, was the first to go home when the pandemic arrived, and we don't feel that they are still coming again. So we would like to know a little bit what Cristóbal, what has happened in the mind of the Spanish investors for them to not come again to Portugal. Because don't forget that on the previous crisis, they were also the last to arrive. And then they claimed that the prices were already a little bit higher. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
That one is for you, Cristóbal.
Thanks, Jose. As a Spanish, I'm appointed to this. Well, I passed all the pandemic here, so I'm not 100%, I don't agree 100% with your perception. And we were here, we were working, and we've been analyzing new projects during the pandemic. Well, obviously, that's from our side, so we've been very active looking for new projects. I think that in general, well, we all know how COVID pandemic has been for Spain. I think that some of the Spanish investors that had very heavy portfolios in Spain has had a lot of things to manage during these months, and probably that's why it's been harder to see them very active here. But I think that Portugal, it's a key market for Spanish investors, and I think all of them will be very, very important part of the investment that will come here in this recovery time after the pandemic that we will have. So I think that we will be strong here, and hopefully we will be buying a lot of stuff also from Millennium.
Perfect. Many thanks. It was a real pleasure to share the stage with you. I believe it was a very enjoyable conversation. Please keep tuned with us. The session online will follow up.